Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of July. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Stevie Clifford. Great to see you, Stevie. How's it going?
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, my fault that we're late. Put it on the computer this morning, and it decided to update, and just not fun, Derek. So my fault. I'll take responsibility for that one.
But I know the feeling, Stephen. The old updating. Ian McCutcheon gets in touch. He says, "Red card for Stevie." I don't think it constitutes a straight red, Ian, but just a wee telling off, maybe just a word from the referee, perhaps.
Yeah, I'll take the blame for that one. So, yep. Apologies, everyone. But ready to go now, mate.
Absolutely, right. Good stuff. Right, where shall we start? We'll start with transfer news because there is a lot to discuss. First of all, an incoming, which we fully expect to be announced at any point from here on in, is Hamza Igamane. Now, he posted a goodbye message to his club Far Rabat in Morocco on his Instagram page. I'll read you what he had to say, folks. He says, "My success comes only through Allah. In him I trust, and to him I turn. After an incredible journey with Asfar, which has shaped me into who I am today, it's time to bid farewell and embark on a new challenge. I've had the honour of achieving 2 titles with the club I deeply love. I'm forever grateful to the committee represented by President Mohamed Haramou and Vice President Al Awoubi, to all the Askaris, teammates, coaches, staffs, and everyone who has influenced me, my career in any way. The leader will always hold a special place in my heart. Thank you for everything." So he's posted that. He is on his way to Ibrox. He had his visa sorted out, which was delaying things somewhat, but he will become Rangers, I think it's the 6th summer signing, is it? 5th or 6th? I've lost count already. A striker, which is much welcomed. Stevie, we discussed him last week, I think. Don't know much about him, but it certainly comes with a decent pedigree from people that we speak to here at the Rangers Review. I'm excited about seeing him in action.
Yeah, I'm actually a lot more excited after seeing the presentation you did with the boys the other day. That was great. That was absolutely great. They were thoroughly professional, and that gave me a real kind of excitement towards this one. So yeah, I think with a striker we're naturally excited anyway, Derek. I think that's like, everybody wants a 9 that scores goals. Everybody wants that excitement. So we're already there with this guy. We're already on board, and when people talk him up and they start kind of using kind of references towards the players that they mentioned, you're obviously going to get even more excited, aren't you? So I said last week I was excited by this one. I definitely am. I think that naturally he's a striker anyway. And I would be excited for that. But this one just seems to be, I don't know. I said last week I'm ready to have my heart broken again, and that's the way I feel about it. Like, I'm ready to find this number 9 that everybody really loves, and that everybody's, the talisman, the focal point of the whole team. I think we're ready for that again. I think Alfredo obviously leaving. We had that kind of void maybe last year where we didn't quite have that, and this boy, I'm hoping, is going to bring that back to us, Derek. So I'm excited about it. Obviously, there's not much YouTube footage out there because he hasn't played many games, has he? But there is there is some footage of kind of goals that he scored, and there's a wide range. He scored some headers, he scored some volleys, left and right foot. He likes a quick shot, and of course, there's the old knee slide when he scores a goal. So I'm looking forward to it, Derek. I really am. He's going to be the one, I think, that captures imagination out of the signing so far. I think that's fair to say, but a lot of that again comes because he is a forward, isn't it? We're all in love with a forward and a goal scorer, Derek. So I don't know about you, but I think he'll be raw, but I'm certainly looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm excited about seeing him in action. Good age as well. Again, with a lot of these young lads are buying a lot of potential. He's coming from an environment that's much different to Scottish football, so I think we need to be a little bit patient with him. But if he hits the ground running and does what Alfredo does for the large part of his Rangers career, then I think Rangers will have one to watch. An interesting point that just caught my attention from Jamie here, Stevie. He says it's a project and we need first-team proven quality. I get his point there. The players that have been brought into this squad already, I mean, decent acquisitions on paper, but I think there is an argument to be had that Rangers still need fast improvements to that first-team squad if we're looking to win the title next season. The manager did touch on this at the tail end of last week. He says that experience will be brought into the side. I think is that a fair comment? I can still see another striker being brought into the club, Stevie, and money being spent on that area of the pitch.
Yeah, well, we spent the best part of £11 million on first-team proven quality last season, didn't we?
Good point, yep.
And look how far that got us. So there's an argument to be had that Jamie's right at the same time. And I noticed, Derek, that he's boxing there, so I'm not going to say too much. But there's I think there's also a point to say that, you know, money doesn't guarantee anything. First-team proving, first-team quality, none of it guarantees you anything at Rangers. Because we've seen spending the best part of 5 million, 4.5, 5 million on Dessers last year, 6 million on Danilo. You know, Danilo came in and people were saying this boy's a project because he's not finishing and he's maybe not quite got that killer instinct yet, but he is a good player. So people thought he was a bit raw, and that was £6 million. So money doesn't always buy you everything. And yeah, I can see the point that Jamie's making with regards to possibly needing another striker. And I think we do, and I've spoken about that for a while, Derek, that I think this boy will be in and amongst it. So we've got to be careful, though, of saying about, you know, proven first team ability, because that's probably money that we don't have, unless you're picking up, you know, a guy that's maybe out of contract or somebody that is maybe a bargain for some reason, like a Jermaine Defoe, who was proven first team quality. But how often do you pick up a Jermaine Defoe? You know, that was more of a Steven Gerrard thing than it was maybe a Rangers thing. So I understand completely the point, but I just think that it's a really difficult one, Derek. It's a difficult one to try and base your whole squad about without having a lot of money to throw about. We've got to be creative. I think the manager used that word. We have to maximise what we have and be creative with that. So I think somebody like Hamza Igamane is somebody that, you know, we can say has got the raw ability to maybe, you know, completely enhance himself at Rangers and turn out to be what we hope is one of those signings that completely grabs the league and grabs Rangers by the scruff of the neck, and we can go on and sell him on. So that's what our model is, you know, and then in that 2 years you can maybe spend a wee bit more because you're selling him for a bit bigger, and you can spend a wee bit more on the next kind of project up front or the next first team player. But at this moment in time, it's a really difficult one, Derek. Money doesn't guarantee anything. I think, you know, in the market that we're shopping in, we don't have 20-25 million like England might have to go and spend on players. You see Nottingham Forest, I think, pay 35 million for Anderson this week from Newcastle, and that boy's barely played. Well, that's what I mean. That boy's barely played money. Barely played first team football. So it's a difficult one, and I'm not sure that those type of bargains are about in the market that we're in.
John gets in touch. He says, morning from a hospital bed in Bangkok. Well, hopefully you're on the mend, John, and you're back fighting fit, but good to have you tuning in from far afield. So that's Hamza Igamane. We expect him to be paraded at some point in the near future as a Rangers player. Another player that has been heavily linked with Rangers, we spoke about him last week, Stevie, is that of Kenny McLean. When we talk about experience, we touched on the deal would have to be right for Rangers. Led to believe now the deal is off, and a bit of an impasse between what the player wants and what the club are willing to offer. I think I'm led to believe it may be to do with contract length, but we're hearing that that deal isn't happening for the time being. You said last week, Steve, it would have to be a deal that suits Rangers, and at this moment in time, it's not one we can see happening. What's your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think that I would always be reluctant to say that a deal's never not happening, because these things can be resurrected, or negotiations are ongoing and things like that. So at the moment, and we live in a vacuum as well, where you don't really get told anything by Rangers, and we don't get a guide of that for the club, so we can only kind of go by rumours and hearsay and maybe words from the other club, who maybe tell us a wee bit more, or even the player himself. So what I would say is more what I said last week, that Kenny McLean's a good player, and if the deal's right for Rangers, then it should be right for us. But Kenny McLean's also got a 2-year contract at Norwich with an extended option, I think, of another year.
Yep.
He'll be on big money down there, and we're in a position, Derek, where we've got a squad full of players that are getting too much money as it is, and maybe we want to be a wee bit more careful. Maybe we are restructuring our wage bill and what we're doing, and there's probably a reason, Derek, why players haven't left us yet, and that's because they're all on quite a good wage and they're on quite good money, and who's going to pay them and match them? And if you're saying to Tom Lawrence on the best part of 30 grand a week, that you need to go out and find another club, and Tom Lawrence will go, yeah, no problem, but I'm not going until another club pays me what I'm on here. Then you can understand completely why the club would be unwilling to get themselves in that position again, because we've spoken about it before. Rangers are in a uniquely weird position where almost all of their squad are getting top line, and that's not healthy, and it's certainly not a good squad kind of base, because you've got players that, as you can see now, are maybe not in any rush to move on. So Kenny McLean is a good player. He's a player that I like.
Yep.
He's a player that will probably do really well for us. He's a player that's got experience. He's tremendous last season in the Championship, stat-wise, ball, winning, everything about him in the really top percentile. So a good player, but I think that if it's right and Rangers have got a plan for him and they maybe sounded him out or whatever, and he's come back and said that's not right, then Rangers have got to do what's right for Rangers, Derek. I think that's really key. It's got to be a deal that's right for Rangers, and it's got to be a deal that's right for everybody else. And if it's not right for Kenny McLean, then we shake his hand, thanks very much, and we move on. But I'm reluctant to get drawn into that one being not done or anything like that.
We're still trying to come to sort of
I mean, we're only at the start of July, so there's plenty of time, and let's just see where that one goes.
Yeah, certainly feel that, and I'm sure many agree that Rangers do need some experienced pros to come in the building. Time is marching on, of course. It won't be long before we're back in action. I wanted to flag up this point before we move on to a potential departure. As Logan with a point, he says, would you like to see SEMA back at Rangers? I think I touched on this. When was it on the Q&A show? I think on Monday someone asked a question, and I said, again, pretty much like we were just speaking about Kenny McLean, it would have to be a deal that works for Rangers financially, Stevie. We know that Brighton have got a new manager in place. He gave us a press conference yesterday, young lad from St. Pauli. Young lad, he's just get St. Pauli into the Bundesliga. I'm intrigued to find out how he's going to get on at Brighton next season. But SEMA going into the final year of his deal. Would you like to see him back at Rangers, Stevie? And how much do you think the club should be spending on him?
Absolutely, yes. I would love to see SEMA back at Rangers. He's got the age and the profile, which we want, that would fit in anyway, and that's even before him see the best part of 15 goals last season. So a guy that obviously scored in the big games as well when he got given the opportunity, and an injury took him away from us, sadly, for quite a few months at a time where if he hadn't been, then I think that he could have really went on and maybe hit 25 goals for us in the way he was going. Financially wise, I'm kind of where Ian says, I think, £3-4 million. Do we have that kind of money? That might depend on others going out, Derek. That might depend on a big sale of Janis Haji, Sam Lammers, Cyril Dessers. That might depend on one of them. And, at the moment, there's a lot of speculation about more or less, everybody being up for grabs at Ibrox, Cantwell, Ridvan, whoever, Goldson, Tavernier, all those names have been flung about, Derek, in the last few weeks. So I would say that perhaps we're getting to the stage where if we're looking to sign somebody for 4 or 5 million, like the case of Abdallah Sima, then, you know, perhaps that's the amount it's going to be. I can't see Brighton, if he's out of contract, saying, yeah, you can take him on loan for another year and then pay us a certain amount. I'm not sure that would really work. But if there's a way to do the deal, if there's a way to do the deal, then I'm absolutely on board with it. Get him in. I would no complaints from me if that would happen.
Yeah, I'll put this to you, Dave, with the point here. He says you're not worried about his injury history, Stevie. He was injured for 2 periods, I think, last season. Or was it 3 in the end? Start of the season, he was out for a wee bit, wasn't he? And then went away with Senegal. Unfortunately, didn't play. He was really looking forward to playing at AFCON, of course. Came back and just Rangers' luck. He was out for a considerable period of time. Perhaps he may have been rushed back, given what was at stake at the tail end of the season. And then he was out again. And listen, I think it's something that Dave is right to flag up, Stevie. It's something Rangers need to be careful about moving forward. And again, the manager spoke about this in his press conference, in his Rangers TV interview last week, about getting the players better prepared in pre-season, so that they're able to play 3 games a week throughout the course of the campaign. Abdallah Sima, though, are there alarm bells, do you think, if Rangers were to pick him up on a permanent basis about his injury history?
Not really, no. You know, that would be like saying there's alarm bells ringing over Danilo, because the injuries that Sima picked up were all kind of, you know, match or related and things like that, or training related, weren't they? So, but Danilo picked up. Do we have concerns about Danilo? Because he got smashed into it at St Johnstone, then he got that terrible tackle at Tynecastle, which still irks me, Derek. Nobody talks about that, the fact that it cost our striker,
well, up to manager as well.
Part of 7 or 8 months, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Do I have concerns about it? I mean, I think last year was a bit of a write-off with injuries, wasn't it, Derek? If, you know, with the whole squad and with the whole team, and everybody was dropping like flies at times, so it's difficult to be massively over-concerned by Sima last year. You know, he went to January to AFCON and got a horrible injury in training there. I mean, what do you do about that when you get an injury that costs a player 3 months? Like, can you be concerned about it? Yeah, but it's hardly his fault if you know, something happens in training like that, you know. So if we were basing on that, then I don't think it works. If I'm concerned about John Souttar's injury record when he first came to Rangers, when he had, you know, ACL after ACL kind of thing. But even John Souttar, you know, ironically, kind of done all right last season, availability right until the kind of crux of it at the end of the season. So am I concerned about it? No. I wouldn't say so. I think we had a lot of bad luck last season, Derek, a lot of it, and I think Abdallah Sima maybe just falls into that. Well,
I certainly hope it is bad luck and it gets rectified this season. Right, let's talk about the potential departure. You've seen reports yesterday, folks, of AZ Alkmaar in the Netherlands looking to bid for Sam Lammers. They're preparing a bid of around £2.5 million for the 27-year-old. Of course, he spent the second half of the season on loan at FC Utrecht and tore it up in the Eredivisie, scoring goals left, right and centre. Won the Player of the Month award for April, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, and was breaking goal-scoring records for Utrecht. And it now looks like AZ Alkmaar are looking to sign him for next season, Stevie. He will be leaving Ibrox in the summer. £2.5 million, is that reasonable?
Well, no, not really. I think I speak for everyone when I say you probably won't double that. But Rangers are in a real conundrum because we're desperate to sell, aren't we? And people will know that, and they'll know that a bid of £2.5 million will most likely be enough for this club and be enough for Rangers. So, no, I don't think it's enough. I really don't. But he's going to go, Derek. I think that's quite clear. He's one of many that Rangers will want out the door. But you know, Kenneth's saying $4 million there. I would be inclined to want that as well, but I just don't see how we're in a position to get it, Derek. So that's the problem when you get yourself into this position, the Ross Wilson effect. where the squad's so bloated of average players, then we're desperate to get them out the door. Agents talk, teams will talk, etc., etc., and people will know in Holland that Rangers aren't going to be difficult to deal with when it comes to Sam Lammers, and I think that $2.5 million would be what we would get. He did have a renaissance and turn himself into Ronaldinho out in Holland for some strange reason. Went on that goal scoring record run and stuff like that out there, didn't he? For consecutive games scored in, which is all great for him. But I would just like to see somebody come in, £2.5-3 million, shake his hand and wish him well, Derek. Somewhere along the lines, we have to make sure that these players start going out the door. There's nothing wrong with saying to $2.5 million and 25% of whatever comes next in Lammers' case and stuff like that. But there it goes, Ian saying about wages. That goes back to what I said right at the very start of this show, wasn't it? About the player situation and the wages being so high at Rangers. So that might be a case of we're saying $2.5 million and a handshake and off he goes. So it's just a difficult one, Derek. I was very vocal about Ross Wilson and about what we were doing, financially and stuff like that. And we're now, I think, 18 months down the line, I think we're now in that position where you can justifiably say, well, this was a point that we were trying to make when we were talking about all these players coming in on such high money. So Sam Lammers will go, and it's just a case of, who's going to bid for him first, and let's hope that happens, because we don't want our situation where, I seen Janis Haji, agent, I think, talking about, him possibly going back out on loan. It doesn't benefit Rangers in the slightest. We need money in for these guys, and we need that cycle to start happening very soon. So maybe it will happen with Sam Lammers. Maybe we do have to go slightly lower just to get rid of these guys. But would I be happy with $2.5 million? No. Would I understand it and be willing to let him go for $2.5 million? Yes. I would want a lot more, but we need players out the door.
Yeah, I wouldn't want Rangers to be losing money on them. That's for sure. I think they should be taking at least what they paid Atalanta for him 12 months ago. And I would like you, Steve, I would like a bit more money on top of that. I've got to be honest. You mentioned Haji there. I'm not too sure how much you've seen him. He played against the Netherlands last night. Unfortunately, Romania lost 3-0 to Holland and are exiting the Euros. But he's played a fair bit over there in Germany. Lots of eyes on him. I thought he was okay last night. I'm not too sure about the headwear he was wearing. I know he had a head knock, but someone posted something like it was like a bottle of vodka from duty free in the airport that he was wearing, which tickled me. Haji, Stevie, how much are you looking for Janis Haji should he move on then?
3 million again, probably.
I think so. Yeah.
Same, £2.5-3 million for Janis Haji. Somebody that sadly just kind of like his whole career since his injury has kind of petered out. I'm not sure that Michael Beale treated him fantastically well. I think we said that at the time, that he was guilty of the fact that we maybe had about 35 players that could play in the 10 position. So Janis Haji was just sacrificed because of that. I'm not sure Alves has worked out to be a great move for him either. So it's a shame because, I'm probably think that Janis Haji could have contributed numbers and kind of points this season as well, but I'm not sure how massively different he would have been. I said before that we need quality in the 10 position, and that caused a bit of debate. I know there's a lot of massive Todd Cantwell fans out there, and I am a big Todd Cantwell fan, but I still think there's quality needed in that 10 position, or Todd Cantwell needs to hit a level of consistency that we've not seen from him yet at all. So there's problems all over our pitch, Derek, or there's solutions to be found all over our pitch and all over our team. So that 10 position, Janis Haji, I think his time has come and gone at the club, but I don't think he's alone. So maybe there's one or two that have been watching him, but again, like a loan move doesn't suit Rangers. We need money in, put him out the door, and kind of go from there. So I would be looking for at least 3 million for Janis Haji, that's for sure. Is that realistic? I'm not sure.
I think it is. I think it is for a player of that. I know he never had the best of loan spells at Alaves, but he is still a household name, huge in Romania, of course. Where he ends up remains to be seen whether he goes back to Spain. He's played in numerous countries, of course, so it will be interesting to see where his next destination will be, or whether Philippe Clement fancies a proper look at him. Who knows? Let's move on. Off the pitch, Stevie. I know a lot of supporters are getting quite rightly so frustrated about where Rangers are going to be playing for the first month of the season, at least, with the Copeland roadworks being delayed. Scott's Wilder with a point here says that the lack of information from the club on where we are playing our home games is a disgraceful way to treat our support. More and more supporters wanting answers, Stevie, and I can understand their frustration here, because there's two statements we got last week, I think, before the fixtures were announced and when the fixtures came out. Just a couple of lines, really, when the fixtures were announced last week, saying that we will get an announcement soon. The club said to be in negotiations with the SFA to play the matches at Hampden at the beginning of the season. It's thought that Murrayfield's still on the table as well. But what's your overall feeling about this situation that is unfolding as we speak?
You probably know what it is, Derek, and I think that people would expect me to probably come out with what I'm about to come out with, and I think it's important. Like, people realise that I'm a season ticket holder of 30 years, Derek. I'm just the same as everybody else, and yeah, I sit in the gantry, and my position within the support may have changed, but I'm still a supporter, and my supporter head says that this isn't good enough, that the silence is deafening, and that the lack of leadership is evident for everybody to see. I don't think it's unfair to say that we should maybe have had more from the club, but I think they're deliberately keeping it vague because they don't know yet. And I think there was a good point made last week. Shona talked about it on our own podcast, where she said that you had to wait until Hibs and Hearts fixtures come out till you maybe organise Murrayfield. And then our Hampden talking about the pitch and stuff as well, then yeah, that's fine. I'm led to believe that there's no news from Rangers imminently. Certainly not today coming out. And, the longer it goes on, the more people are going to get frustrated, Derek, because people want to know what's going on. And the longer it goes on, the more comical it's becoming for others when they look at Rangers. So I'm disappointed, and I understand that there's a thought that, John Bennett's come into this situation and other people in positions at Ibrox have let him down, and those people are gone and stuff like that at the club, and that's fine. I understand that. But John Bennett, as chairman of the club, rightly or wrongly, has oversaw, not only one, but a numerous number of rebuilds and projects at Rangers Football Club, which just haven't run on time. It hasn't updated the fans. And there was an article pulled the other day about, the bar supposedly being open at New Year, and we're in July, and, and we're led to believe that'll be open for the first game of the season. But when will the first game of the season be? So there's a frustration there, and people use that then, Derek, as ammunition to think to themselves, well, if that's not right and the stadium's now not right and we're not hearing anything, then it just makes it all look a wee bit uncomfortable and a wee bit like it's not good enough. So it's difficult. What do they say if there's nothing to say? I understand that completely, and I'm not here to two-foot Rangers or two-foot the club, but I certainly think leadership-wise, Derek, I think that I can understand the point there that the boy makes about it not being good enough, because there's a large part of me that feels that way as well. So I like to think that news from the club was coming in the coming days, and we'll find out exactly where we are. But, I think sometimes it feels like, and I'll say this, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but it feels like as supporters we're taking just a wee bit for granted, and just assume that no matter where we go or what we'll do, other fans will just put up with it. It doesn't matter if it's Murrayfield or Hampden, fans will just go and they'll just put up with it. I'd like to think that we deserve a wee bit more respect in that way, and a wee bit more guidance where necessary. And that, listen, might not be right, but it's just, I can understand the frustrations.
I think that's a general feeling amongst the fan base, Stevie. I don't think you're alone in feeling that. Comments agreeing with you as well there. the sooner this is sorted out, the better, because it's not doing supporters any good whatsoever. As I touched on earlier on in the show, before we know it, we'll be playing matches, and people have to make travel considerations and plans and what have you. Rangers supporters travel from far-flung places to attend the games, and supporters' buses need to be sorted and what have you. So the quicker we get an outcome to this, the better. Right, folks, that'll do us there. Big thanks to Stevie as ever. He will be joining me back on tomorrow, so we get a double helping of myself and Stevie on the show. On the website this morning, you'll find a great scouting report from Adam Thornton on Hamza Igamane, so do go and check it out. The link is in the description below. And just if you aren't a subscriber of the website, we do have those two offers still running on at the moment: £4 for 4 months or £18 for an entire year. And I still believe if you use the code Clifford10, you get 10% off. Stevie's nodding, so that is still in effect. So Clifford10, folks, get you see it.
Johnny hasn't told us, has he, if he's patched it or not? So I'm assuming that it still works, and yeah, that'll get you a wee bit off both deals, Derek. So just thank you, everybody. I know it's frustration, isn't there, Derek? Because there's not really much happening at the moment, and you want stuff to talk about, and you want new signings, and everybody's feeling a bit meh about lack of people in and out, and then the stadium stuff. So hopefully, at least Igamane will be announced soon, and we'll have something to kind of talk about and look forward to as a support. And you never know what happens after that. But apologies for being late as well. The good news is, though, Derek, the computer won't need updated tomorrow, so I should be on time. And apologies, folks, my fault.
Yeah. Like I say, it's just a telling off, Stevie. Another one of those, and I think it'll be a yellow. But at least I
didn't leave halfway through the show.
That's a 3-show ban, I think. So apologies for that. I think that was last week, wasn't it, or the week before? Can't remember.
So many times,
Yeah, but right, we'll wrap up there, folks. Thanks for watching as ever, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye for now.